looking for a 46-foot Oyster, which boat would you pick? This one? Or this one? Or perhaps you're looking for a 54-footer. Same deal. This one? Or this? They all look the same. So what's the big deal? Why have Oyster gone to the trouble of revamping two already very popular models? It is no secret that in developing their range of blue water cruisers, Oyster decided to revamp rather than redesign their latest models. As the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and the 54 and 46 are two very good examples of that. The Oyster 46 was first launched 10 years ago in 2005. Then, as indeed now, she was the smallest boat in the range, but she proved to be very popular, and it's very easy to see why. She's a small enough boat to be easily handled by two, but has the space to deal with 2 to 4 guests on top. Oyster are well known for their deck saloon configuration, something that they've refined over many years. But they've also adopted what is almost a standard formula for their mid-sized boats down below. It goes like this: forward double, pilot berth cabin, heads, large area and light saloon, navigation station over there, and then as we walk over this way, longitudinal galley down this side of the boat with a nice big fridge. And then back into the owner's cabin aft. The Oyster 54 was first launched in 2008, and basically she's a bigger version of the 46. She doesn't have any more berths, but she has an awful lot more space throughout the boat, yet at the same time very manageable for two people with the possibility of taking 2 to 4 guests. Down below, she's clearly a much bigger boat. The saloon's much larger. The navigation station is also a bit bigger than on the 46. But overall, the formula for the layout remains the same. But there's another reason why I'm particularly interested in this boat. A very good friend of mine has a 54 Raiatea, which we've featured in the magazine on many occasions, and I've spent many years sailing that boat. It's a lovely boat to sail. We've had a lot of fun on it. So I'm particularly interested to see how they could have improved what we think is already a good formula. So here she is, Oyster 545, boat number 1. Would you be able to tell the difference? Probably not, because the only things that give her away from the outside are these flush hatches and some larger windows in the hull. That's it. So what about down below? Well, now you can see some quite significant differences. At least that's what it looks like. The sky blue Alcantara, the white finish around, there's the maple joinery, all combined to give it that very open, light feel. And I must say, I like it. It's a lovely feel, almost clinical. But once you've gone past that, the actual layout is actually very much the same as the previous boat, and it's the detail is where the differences are. The companionway steps, big and chunky with different handrails, that's a subtle difference. The slightly larger windows in the hull, another small difference. And one thing I really like about those is the fact that you can't open them, they're fixed. That's a good thing. And maybe that's what this boat is about. It's not about major changes. It's about just improving and tweaking the details to give a slightly different feel to an already successful boat. Here's another example of one of the subtle changes on the interior of this boat. The nav station is in the same place as it was on the previous boat. The chart table's a little bit smaller, but the real difference is that actually the whole thing is a little bit higher up. This surrounding joinery is actually slightly lower. The net effect is to actually bring the nav station area a little bit up and make you feel a little bit more inclusive with the rest of the boat. The longitudinal galley has been tweaked as well. One of the things I particularly like is there's a rack up here for glasses and cups, and that's really handy because on the previous boat it was just in lockers around the boat. The freezer that was on this surface here has now been replaced by a nice big chest type freezer. Much easier to get at than having to go down through the hatch, but we've still got the big fridge over here. So again, a few subtle differences, but overall the layouts remain the same. Okay, so here we are aboard the 475, and whilst she might look very similar to the 545 off the water, once you get behind her wheel, she's a very, very different boat indeed. Not only is she smaller and she feels more nimble in many ways, she's much, much lighter on the helm and a lot more controllable and manageable than I think I'd expected, particularly in this gusty breeze. We're just sailing down the River Orwell now. We've just got these gusts coming through as they roll over the trees. And look at it, I mean, she's just dead easy. There's no sense of her spinning up into the breeze. I am cheating a little bit because I do have a 49er sailor trimming the main, so that's always a bit of a help. She's a lovely boat to sail. Really, really nice. I'm really quite surprised. But I guess one of the things, maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, because actually she's got a longer waterline length anyway. So that gives her a bit of an advantage, and maybe that contributes to some of her very balanced feel. A cracking boat. But I have to say it quietly in case my friend James, who owns Raiatea, finds out, but it's actually almost a bit nicer on the helm. Don't tell him. Keep it between us. The forward end of the boat is pretty straightforward. It's a double cabin and a pilot berth on the port hand side. But look at this nav station. Great big spacious navigation station, plenty of room there, great big full-size chart table. And then if you come round to the galley down here, nice longitudinal galley, but a modern spacious feel to it. Visibility, ventilation, it's great, it's really nice. But it's the subtle differences that seem to make such a big difference in the appearance of this interior. The maple joinery just creates more light in the cabin. The tan Alcantara, it's just got a more modern feel. It's a lovely boat, I like it very much indeed. And I guess the great thing about it is that it's become more modern, but it's kept all the things that made this boat good in the first place. It was never our intention to make a comparison between this boat and her bigger sister ship. But I tell you what, when you sail them, it's very difficult not to. I love the 54. I've sailed on her for 3 or 4 years now. She's a fantastic long distance cruiser. Long legs, comfortable boat, great boat. But I've been really surprised by this one. She's a lovely boat, really manageable, all the kind of creature comforts and the performance that you need, but just so easy and so nimble on the helm. A perfect boat for a couple with maybe 2 guests. So are these 2 new boats improvements on previous models? I'd say so. But I think they also say something about the company that builds them. Where Oyster used to personalise boats, now they customise them. Extended decks, spade rudders, carbon rigs, blade jibs. That's a big change. And it's a change that the company believes will be good for their future. And I reckon they're right.